Good morning, everybody. It's Pastor John with another edition of Monday Morning Quarterback. Yesterday was Epiphany Sunday, and we celebrated the visit of the Magi, the three wise men that came to bring Jesus gifts. But there's this verse in the midst of that story that we didn't really get to talk about a lot during the sermon, but I want to talk about it today. And the verse is verse 7. And it says, Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star appeared. Herod secretly called the wise men. Now, we know from this passage that the reason Herod called these wise men in secret was that he did not want anyone to know that he was afraid. He was afraid of Jesus. He was afraid of this child who was born King of the Jews. He was afraid, and he didn't even begin to understand the truly cosmic nature of Jesus' role. He just knew that he was afraid. Now, the truth of the matter, Herod was always afraid. He was afraid of everything. He was afraid of losing his grip on power. He was afraid of Rome. He was afraid even of his own loved ones and having killed several of them during his reign. Herod's fear was the reason that he was such a despicable human being, because he allowed himself to be governed by that fear. And so the interesting kind of juxtaposition in this story is you have Herod on one side, and he's fearful, and because of that he's hateful. On the other side you have the Magi who just want to worship God, and they have seen this sign and have interpreted it to mean that God is with us, and they want to worship him. And so in this passage, we have the illustration of a truth that I've always believed, but I don't think we talk about that much. And that is that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear, because fear is what gives birth to hate and all those other things. Fear is the fuel that feeds hatred and resentment and control and all those other things. And that's why it's important to remember that as we have Herod on one side and the Magi on the other, demonstrating the two ways to respond to God, fearfully or faithfully, it's important to remember the words from 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. The perfect love of this Christ child can cast out the fear that rules our lives, that rules our nation, that rules the world. But we have to let go of the fear first so that the perfect love can reside within us. I hope you have a wonderful week, my friends. Happy New Year. God bless.